The program is Security Focus. My name is Ifunaya Amafili. And as usual, security is topmost on our agenda, topmost in Governor Willie Obiano's administration. And today we'll be talking with a private security consultant and also the head of the secretary of Anambra Vigilante Committee, Mr. Tony Chidi in Najiofo. Yeah. Najiofo, I got it right. Many thanks for being with us. So, can I say Dalu, thanks for coming.
Thank you so much.
You're a graduate. Let's start. You're from Abatete, Demili North.
Yes.
And then you're a graduate from marketing as your background,
yes.
And business management and then marketing.
Yes.
But you've delved into the security industry.
Yes.
You're currently the general manager of Philip Smith Security Limited.
Right.
And also, like I had earlier said, the Anambra Vigilante Group, that's AVG, you're the secretary of that.
Right.
How did you delve from, management, marketing, all the way down to security?
Yes. Well, thank you. Like you rightly said, I moved from marketing, moved over to management, and then right now I'm doing more of security. It's all about the public sector, managing people. And as a matter of fact, the more you market, you don't market in isolation. People are always
involved.
Of
course, are involved when you're marketing.
You can market product, you can market services, but you still have to deal with people. Mm-hmm. So the more I deal with people, I find out that it's not all about product or the services rendered or what you intend to sell or achieve, but it's all about the ones you've acquired.
Mm-hmm.
How do you take care of it?
Okay.
I begin to realize that in our society, that people are not just talking about, people are ready to invest. But their problem has been, how safe is my investment?
Okay.
How safe is the wealth I'm acquiring?
Okay.
How safe is my environment? So that began to take me to thinking inwardly. And I said, yes, the police are doing their best. The government is providing security. But I realized that the private sector need to do a little bit more.
Absolutely.
To support the government in this sector. So I began from trying to advocate the local community. The idea of neighborhood was, I grew up in Enugu, and I know I brought this idea down to the street where I live.
Okay.
So we'll have a kind of a neighborhood watch there. And from time to time, we'll begin to set up standard or measuring what happens within our vicinity. In terms of who is that at that vehicle spending money like mad. Mm-hmm. Do you know him? We begin to talk to people there, the attendants at the end of the day. Who is that man? I don't know. This is first time of coming here. What he was with somebody. Yes, who is that?
So you try and find if that person is related to someone within the neighborhood.
Good. So those little investigation always put us on top of the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Before anything happens, we're already ahead of them.
Okay.
So I can always tell you 2 weeks ago, somebody like that came in. It was fun kind of at the beginning, but we began to find out that we're having a safer environment.
Because you had put some of all these measures in place.
That led me to going further to research and ask about security. What does it take to go into this fully, legally, and then having the government backing? So like that, I found an existing category 1 private security guard company in Nigeria.
Okay, good. Private security, we always, I like how you started this narrative from how you delved, you have a master's degree,
yes.
Yet you've delved into security.
Yes.
The general impression that most of us have about private security is that they just open and close gates. Mm-hmm. They're bouncers at events, That's what most people see. But I know that private security should offer more than that. It should offer, specialized services. It should offer security consultation. You have started by saying that there are certain things we can't leave for the government to know. It can't just be, the state government doing this or the police doing that. So how do we get that notion of people's ideology that private security is not just bouncers at the club or people that will stop, people from coming in during your events?
Yes.
But they actually train security personnel to protect, to guard you or guard your properties.
Yes. Like I said, private security companies or private guard companies, they have categories. They are the ones we call the local vigilantes.
Which you're also the secretary of the one in Anambra State.
Yes. And they are ones that we call the private gas company, PGC. PGC, they operate under Nigeria Civil Defense Corps.
Oh, okay.
And like I said, the one
you get training?
Yes, the one I work with is a category A that allows us to operate anywhere in the whole country.
Okay.
But there are some categories where you can always operate within your state or your locality.
Okay. Okay, so the private companies, the private security companies in themselves have different various categories.
Yes, they have categories.
So, and then like you said, under civil defense, so you must have like paramilitary, they have paramilitary training.
Exactly. So we are being trained by the Nigeria Civil Defense, and they are like our parent body all over the nation.
Okay.
Then when you come down to Anambra State, that have a peculiar nature of security, you'll still see that you have to go through the police training. Like the local vigilantes that operate, they have a police training.
Oh, they do?
They do have police training.
The ones we know and see around,
yes,
they do have police training.
Yes, because the government of Anambra State still give them a stipend allowance every month. All the local governments, all the local vigilante groups in Anambra State.
Okay.
They have been paid some stipend allowance every other month.
By the government?
By the government.
Okay, and is that the only allowance they get, or they get other allowances from communities?
There are other allowances they get from the communities.
Okay.
It's like a partnership program. Because the people that operate a particular vigilante group are predominantly people from that particular town. So you begin to see a situation where they know themselves, the town tries to support them, and the government backs them up.
Okay.
So government gives them some allowance.
Is the vigilante in Anambra registered?
Yes.
So every community has a registered vigilante
group, yes.
So you can't just wake up and, since the government is also paying stipends, so that means each person is accountable, each vigilante member is accountable within the unit from where he comes from.
Yes.
Okay, good. You had mentioned the security and police forces. What's the synergy like? You said that you get trainings from them.
Yes.
And then one of the reasons why I asked this question is because a lot of people have been clamoring for state police. And vigilante is another mini way or a semi-state police, structure. I remember when you said when you were doing your neighborhood watch in Enugu, then people had come up with a community in such a way that who is new, who comes into the community.
Exactly.
And I think basically that's the same thing that the vigilantes are currently doing or expected to do. They are in the community, so they know who is new in the neighborhood, they know who is visiting, who could be a possible threat.
Yeah.
With the police, what's the synergy between the vigilante who you also represent as a secretary and the Nigerian police force?
Okay. Well, the Nigerian police force is being established by the Federal Constitution of Nigeria, and the vigilantes are predominantly states and local governments.
Okay.
And the terms of engagement, the police is quite different from that of the vigilante group. There are limitations to what a vigilante group can do. The synergy here had to do about all the vigilante groups work with the police. They assist the police in some areas. They can't arrest and prosecute.
So what can they do?
They can arrest, but they don't prosecute.
Okay, but they can arrest?
Yes.
And then if they arrest, what do? They arrest you as a civilian. They take you to the police station.
They take you to the police.
Okay.
And the police take it from there. Okay. Police is trained on that. Police have the legal backings to do certain things the vigilante don't do.
Okay.
So the police cuts across the states, but vigilantes across their own region. Every other part of the state have their own vigilante.
Okay.
So if it is in Abattoir, for instance, that there's a crime, and we don't have to begin to call and wait until the police come. The vigilante can swing into action. When they clamp down on when they arrest the culprit, they will take him straight to the nearest police station. From there, the police takes on the investigation and every other thing.
So it's basically almost the same thing, like where you have DPOs, divisional police officers in certain regions.
Yes.
So the vigilantes also work in that structure.
Exactly.
Okay, good. So back to private security.
Yeah.
And of course, there have been a lot of private companies emerging. What's the synergy like too with the police? I know you have explained that they have training from civil defense and then sometimes with the police too.
Yeah.
Do they also work in collaboration with them the same way the vigilantes are working with them?
Yes, they do. They do. Every other private guard company, security, vigilante are geared towards ensuring that we'll have a better society. But there is a structured system. Police is police. You can't take over the job of a police, but you can assist them.
So how do the
private sector, like you see them providing security in some residential areas or things like that, when there is a crime, they work with the police because we'll still have to notify the police.
Absolutely.
If there's any arrest, you still have to hand over to the police.
Absolutely.
There are some arms specifically made for the police, which private company cannot lay hands on or start to use.
Are they allowed to, first of all, use arms, the private security companies?
No.
Like for example, you said your company, Philip Smith, is a category A.
Yes.
So companies like Philip Smith, which fall into category A, are they allowed to use arms?
No, private guard companies are not allowed to use arms.
But vigilantes use arms.
Yes.
What's the difference?
The difference is this is a guard company. The vigilante, because of the predominant, in fact, a particular scenario in Anambra State, because I said earlier that the system Anambra State operates is quite unique. They use arms, but they can only use double barrel. It's limited. It's not the same type of rifle.
Is double barrel the same thing that they call pump action?
No.
Okay.
Double barrel can only allow you to load and fire.
Okay.
And then you start to load again.
Okay.
Yes. For double barrel, pump action or the AK-47.
I know AK-47 is like multiple shots.
Good.
Okay.
It is meant for the police and the army and stuff like that. You as a private person, with the government.
But vigilantes are allowed to use the double barrel gun.
Barrels, yes.
But private security companies, even though they are guarding lives and properties too, are not allowed.
They are not
why this imbalance in my head, I think?
It's called imbalance in your head, like you said, because the private guard company cuts across the whole state. But certain states don't allow such. That's why I said a vigilante group is set up to a particular state.
Okay.
Good. In
so it's a state that now decides if they should arm their vigilante.
Good.
Not like it's the Constitution of Nigeria.
No, not the Constitution.
Okay, now I understand you. So
that's why
the Constitution, it means no private guard is allowed to have ammunition. But the peculiarity of Anambra State has made it possible that the vigilante groups have carried the double barrel guns.
Double barrel guns.
Okay, good. Yes. That makes it clear.
Yeah. So if a private guard company needs to do that, they have to come down and register on the vigilante group in Anambra State. That is the only condition they can have to carry such arms.
Oh, okay. So if a private security guard needs to carry arms, then they must register under
vigilante group.
Oh, okay.
Within the state.
Within the state.
Yes.
So that means they are restricted to services within the state, and then they're acting, even though they're a private group, they're also acting as vigilantes.
Good.
But they're not restricted to locations. For example, Abatete, they can move anywhere within the state, but not restricted to a particular location. How do you ensure? How does one ensure that there isn't what's the right word now? Abuse of power. Okay. We know, like citizens, a lot of us, very soon will open the lines, and most of the complaints we get is, abuse of power. The police, because they're armed, they can stop you and ask for 100 naira, 200 naira, whether you want to or not. There've been a couple of extrajudicial killings, not necessarily limited to Anambra State, but Nigeria as a whole.
Yeah.
How does one control the activities of the vigilantes who are armed in such a way that you could say nobody is using these arms when they're not supposed to be using it or when they're not on duty? Another question in line with that is, how can we avoid being victimized? Okay, because me and you are quarreling about land issues in Abatete or in Navy or, in Oka. Then the vigilante boys there, you give them a small stipend, buy drinks for them, then they come and oppress you. So how do we control that abuse is not carried out by people who are armed and are not law enforcing officers?
Yes. Like I said earlier, there is what you call a chain of command.
Okay.
In every other organization, especially the vigilante, they have commanders, they have ordinary recruits, they have sanitary guards and stuff like that. So it's not when you join a security company, either vigilante or anyone, that you begin to carry arms. You go through certain trainings. And at the end of the day, you don't give somebody who is a lunatic opportunity to carry arms. We have to certify you fit, and you don't move around with arms except there's an operation. Arms are guided jealously, both vigilante and the other, whether military or paramilitary. You don't just go and pick it up. You sign for it. And before you sign for it, there must be a purpose for which that is being released to you.
Okay, so it's not like the police that they are armed 24 hours. They like for example, for the vigilantes or maybe private sectors that are working as vigilante groups.
Yeah.
You know, are you saying that the police is with his ammunition and his rifle 24 hours of the day?
Yes.
Does he return it at the end of the day? No, he goes on with it.
No, he does.
Even in the police force?
Yes, even in the police force. There's an armory. When you're on duty, you come in the morning, you sign for a...
And then pick up your rifle.
You pick it up, you pick up the bullet and everything. You go to your duty position.
Okay.
First. At the end of the day, you still come back.
And sign it back in.
Yes, there's a station officer who is responsible for that. So when that is done, you can go home. They are not allowed, because if you carry your rifle and go home, your children could fire, go and challenge their enemies. So it's that system that is enforced also in the vigilante.
Exactly. So when you're going out for night, because they work mostly at night, so when you're going out for your duty, you sign for your your rifles and everything.
Yes.
Then once you come back, you sign back.
Exactly.
And then if there's a bullet that had been used in between,
there must be a reason for that.
Okay, so everybody's held accountable.
Yes.
Mr. Tony Nnajiafor is the general manager, Philip Smith Security. It's a private security firm. He's also the secretary of Anambra Vigilante Group. And the topic, what we're talking about, is not returning arms or not returning arms. We're just talking about the synergy between the official law enforcement agencies and private security agencies or vigilante groups. So I would expect our conversations should be on how we can encourage or strengthen the bond or the synergy between both agencies. And then what we've been saying so far, we've looked at the vigilante groups. We're looking at it more like state policing, which is a smaller unit of keeping our communities safer, because we know that the vigilante people know who belongs to a community, who lives in the states, who has come into Abatete or who has come into Oka or Nibo, and this person doesn't live here normally, and then they can help with the proper security, but structured security like the police.
Our security is a state of being free from danger or threat. It doesn't matter who provides it. We're talking about you're free. It's a state of being. Once you're conscious of it, you know you have somebody taking charge of yourself or guiding you. It gives you kind of a freedom to feel free to express or exercise yourself.
Absolutely.
So this is what we are talking about. What vigilante is doing, what private guard company is doing, what the police is doing.
Is to give you that state of safety, where you don't feel afraid or worried or anxious. Okay.
The synergy must come in. Everybody has his own powers, or what to do or what not to do. You don't see somebody committing a crime and you're looking at him. You begin to make calls to the police to inform the police. You've given the necessary equipment or tools and training to apprehend him, to stop whatever he's doing at that moment. Then you inform the police. But like you said, we don't intend to come here on air and begin to tell the masses.
No strategies. Nobody's expecting strategies. Yes.
What we're talking about here is that there is a synergy between this, that, and that. They all work towards a common goal to give us a better and a safer environment.
Okay, let's divert a little bit from this. We've already established there's synergy. There's synergy between, the private sector, inclusive of the vigilantes, and the official or formal security sector. Now, the question I'd like to ask is this. I don't know if it's a misconception, but most people feel that it's people of certain qualifications academically that join some of these private security firms. For example, it might be very difficult to find a university graduate who would want to come in and be a private guard staff, or you'd find where you've vigilantes, people, you won't find people who are really maybe have their first degree coming there to be guards. Most times when the people you find in the top of the ladder, people like you have a master's degree. You people are general managers there. And then, so the question I want to ask, and where I'm going with this is, shouldn't it be, like we all agree, security is the most important thing in anybody's life, whether it's security in your home, security in your office, security in your society. Shouldn't we start to look, and I've asked the same question to the police personnel that I've had the opportunity or privilege to interview, like shouldn't we start to see a position where we're encouraging people of higher academic status to get more involved? Because it's the number one thing. You can't go to the market if you don't feel safe. So why would we say that if security is number one, yet we're willing to leave it with maybe the least educated in every society, and we're not necessarily limiting to Anambra State? So I really see very few graduates that are vigilantes, or graduates that you meet at events that have private guards to people who are graduates, and then they need this kind of intelligence too.
Yes. Actually, what is happening in society today is different from what we used to know.
Okay.
Recently, we've had a lot of influx of graduates coming for recruitment.
Because they couldn't get another job, or because they wanted to work there?
Most of them, not just because they just want to work there. No. Of course, we know that the demand out there in the market for jobs is far much bigger than what we have.
Yes, the jobs available.
One is that if you have the modern security firm now, it's not what we used to know as a security bench warmers.
Okay.
The ones we call the watchman.
Yes, Megadi, watchman, yes.
Night. You just sit down there and snore all night, and the morning you carry a mat and go. No. We are using sophisticated equipment systems that we need people
who are able to man. You're in here with a walkie-talkie, so I'm wondering, someone who's not so intelligent, how would they operate that?
We have up to 40% of our workforce today are graduates.
Okay, that's impressive.
Both the sentry guards and we have a lot of departments. We have the vetting and staff background check, which companies call on our attention to help them vet and have a background check of their workers.
Okay.
Their guarantors and stuff like that. We have some graduates who undertake those assignments and deliver.
Okay.
So it's not all about standing and saying go back or forward. No. We have a risk management and a threat analysis department,
which are manned too by graduates.
We train drivers of the VVIPs and VIPs. We have that department.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yes.
So you also train drivers, because that's someone's security in your hands. Yes.
Drivers. That some of these top nuts will come into town and they need somebody to move them around. It's not just about putting a car in there. You have somebody that have a security background.
Okay.
And a security conscious. He can dictate and tell you, look at what is going to happen.
Yeah, someone is trailing us, or someone is following us.
And they know what to do when they are faced with such scenario. So not every other driver. So we have such department. We have the computer forensic department and information security department.
What do they do there?
That's the departments that send signals.
Okay.
When they dictate something, that we have surveillance team. These are not just what an ordinary layman can do without a basic education.
So basically, security itself is evolving to meet with the modern trend.
Exactly. So it's no longer, this is what I want to give you. Do you understand?
Yes.
We have the rank and file within our workforce.
Okay.
So graduates come into security these days. It's no longer the
Aboki open gates, close gates,
fine.
carry your mat and everything.
Exactly.
So you have, so basically what you're saying is you have different cadres, I should use the word cadres,
Yes.
of qualifications
Exactly.
of people, and then you put them appropriately
Yes.
where they're supposed to be. There was
Virtually
something-
all our supervisors in our beats, almost all of them are graduates.
There was something I found very interesting when we were talking about. You said the vetting and I think basically verifying.
Yes.
So does it happen also with vigilantes that before anybody becomes a member to either the private security or the vigilante groups,
Yes.
that the person's background
Yes.
is verified and checked to be sure that, okay, this person is not some ex-armed robber or some ex-thug trying to join you just to have access to maybe ammunition. This is actually people who have been researched and found to be credible enough, so they're given
Exactly.
jobs.
Like you said, we do have interviews and first, second, and third stage. We still have some basic trainings, and while that is going on, the forensic department will take it upon themselves and verify those informations.
Okay.
Usually, before you are employed, there's what you call guarantors, and the guarantors will be of a certain cadre in the society. It's not just anybody.
Anybody, okay, great.
Good. And the role you are going to play will determine the level of guarantor
Guarantor.
that will be
Okay.
allowed to.
Okay.
At times, we can ask as much as 3 people, different people, to be guaranteed to one person because of how sensitive the role you're going to play is. So we don't just employ somebody because you walked into the office and said you need a job. No. We'll run a background check and we'll know about your background. Apart from the basic information you give us, we'll still verify and get our own information correct.
Okay. Do the Igwes get involved in the vigilantes?
Of course.
The Igwes, the President Generals, do they get involved with the running of the vigilante supervision? Because when you talked about guarantors, I thought, that should also be like guarantors for people that would work in those kind of areas.
I was trying to make the two together, the private guard company and the AVG. For the AVG, predominantly, the names after the interviews have been taken today. The Igwes and the PDs.
Okay.
Who knows these people to their roots?
Okay.
And can always watch for them. They always have to sign the person
So
on.
they must endorse people
Yes.
that join.
Exactly.
Okay, beautiful.
Exactly.
So that's reassuring.
Exactly.
That for every community and community that you're in, and any young youth acting as a
Member of the
vigilante
AVG.
group member has been endorsed
Yes.
by the Igwe of
Or
that
the
community. So that
President
gives,
General.
or the President General of that community. So that gives kind of credibility to the
Exactly.
people.
Exactly.
Why don't you have female vigilantes? On that, maybe that's our last question before we go. Why don't you encourage? Because I see a lot not as much, but I see a couple of females in the private security sector.
Yes.
But I've never met a female vigilante. Why? Why if we're not exploring that thought?
You see, the fact still remains that quite recently, ladies are beginning to come into security.
Yes, but not as much as I
you
would
have to
have
start
loved
from
to
somewhere.
see.
You have to start from somewhere. The private guard company seems to be more of a urban security, and see the other one to do with more of the
Rural security. Okay.
So the rural security, they know themselves. They are from there, and the ladies haven't embraced that as a way of contributing to the society, so to say. And most often you see that the AVD, they work even all through the night. And very soon I believe we're getting there.
Thank you very much. Mr. Tony in Najiofo, I want to appreciate you so much. It's been enlightening talking to you, even at very short notice when I asked you to be my guest. So thank you so very much for being the guest. I don't know if you have any last words before we close the phone lines.
One thing I have to tell people is this about security and about state of the nation. I always put a phrase. I said, if not now, when?
Okay.
If not me,
then who?
If you ask yourself that question, you just have to step up. Because I wonder who we're waiting for. If it is not now, when is it going to be? we'll keep shifting. What is it going to be? Let's take the bull by the horn. If it is not me,
I know.
who's going to provide the security for our people? So you step out and do it.
I just might invite you again because I would have loved to talk about security, especially now that the elections are around the corner, because people need to be aware of those kind of securities.
Exactly.
So I like that. So maybe we'll close today by saying, if it's not now, then when, right? And then if it's not me, then who? So many thanks for being a part of the program. It's been Security Focus. My name is Ifunanya Amafli. The most important thing is stay safe. And then if you have issues, report to the nearest police, vigilante, private security companies. There's so much the government is putting at our disposal to try and ensure that all of us remain safe. So many thanks for being a part of the program. I'll talk to you next week, same time. Do have a pleasant day.